to the acting chair. Truck drivers block roads over harassment. EFCC detains NACON chairman. NCDMB targets 70% local content. U.S. citizen jailed for treason. Osimhen prefers Paris Saint-Germain. Stop speaking to my mother, Kirk Franklin. And now the news in details. Mild drama played out at the Federal High Court, Abuja on Thursday when 3 senior advocates announced representation for the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Umar Damagum, in a suit challenging the conduct of Congress of the Rivers State chapter of the PDP. This is coming after Justice Peter Lifu of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has last month issued an order restraining the PDP, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security agencies from stopping, truncating, frustrating, or disrupting the wards, local government, and state congresses of the party slated for July 27, 2024. He subsequently adjourned to August 15th for a hearing in the suit brought by 6 loyalists of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Yesum Wike. But when the matter was called on Thursday, shortly after KCO Njameze San announced his appearance for the plaintiffs, 2 other sons, Chief Ferdinand Obi and Kamaldeen Ajibade, stood up at the same time to announce representation for the first to 4 defendants, the PDP, Damagum, National Secretary, Senator Samuel Ayawu, and National Organizing Secretary, Honorable Umar Baturi. Intervening, the court ordered the senior son to take the first shot, and accordingly, Obi announced his appearance when he was done. Ajibade subsequently did the same for the same parties. But the drama did not end there, as another senior advocate, Sunday Ibrahim Ame, also stood up to announce representation for the same set of defendants in the matter, while Justice Lifu, not wanting the commotion to escalate, prompted the members of the Inam Bar to resolve the issue amongst themselves, following which Obi applied for a short adjournment to enable them to do the needful. Since the request for adjournment was not opposed by any counsel, the court subsequently fixed August 30th for a hearing. Analyst says the existence of 3 tiers of government, the importance of an active local government council in a democratic system.
Rivers people, it also reduces or maybe diminishes the real reason for the democracy that we are really practicing.
Speaking on the rescheduled date for local government elections in Rivers State, Land described a calculated rumor and baseless target against the grassroots development.
I can tell you authoritatively that those rumors are baseless and are also founded by the same people who never want peace, to have.
On Thursday, following blockade of the Owerri and Port Harcourt by operatives of the task force on illegal parks in the state. Operating under the auspices of Trailer Drivers Association, the group lamented that some of their members' vehicles were impounded by the task force headed by the special advisor to the governor on illegal parks, Frank Owumere, and his boys since 4 months for no justifiable reason. Speaking to journalists during the protest, one of the leaders of the Trailer Drivers Association, who identified himself as Monday Osai, who operates from Onne Seaport, Rivers State, explained that they blocked the 2 roads within Owerri Ministry Tension of Government to the harassment and extortion, and accused Owumere of tarnishing the image of. They are calling on governor to immediately sack Owumere and bring in someone with human face to do the work to avoid tarnishing his image, and also demanded quick intervention on the badly damaged Port Harcourt Expressway and other deplorable roads in the state to ease traffic. Also speaking, a truck driver who gave his name as Aliyu Haruna said they don't encounter problems in other states, and it is only when they enter into more Imo roads that problem always starts, adding that there is always a blockade by the military at Obese once it is 9 p.m. Analyst has described the recent blockade of the Owerri-Port Harcourt road by truck drivers as an abuse of office and illegal expression of rights on the part of the truckmen. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Blowout, a political analyst, Ekie, stressed on the need for due process and social orderliness between public officers and citizens.
As we are living in a civilized world right now, such kind of primitive activities should be dropped. There are civil ways of handling civil activities. If you think I have disobeyed the law, you can, invoke the weight of the law. There are procedures for all of these things, but not to do. We are yet to see they vandalize the truck and the people who they said were manhandled.
Ekie also advised aggrieved citizens on the need to embrace global best approach on conflict resolution.
When you stop the right of another man's activities, it's an illegal action. So what the truck drivers are actually doing is actually illegal. It's not right. We must condemn it. No matter how beautiful what they have done is right in their eyes. Where your own right ends, that's where the next man's right begins. Now, you can't, two wrongs can't make.
This is coming after several angry trailer drivers yesterday blockaded the Owerri-Port Harcourt road over alleged harassment, intimidation and seizure of their trucks by alleged uniformed security personnel and government actors. Ahead of the October 2024 local council election in Enugu State, the sixth chapter of the People Democratic Party has elected the party's chairmanship candidate for the 17 local government areas of the state. The party had earlier elected its councillorship candidates for the 260 electoral wards of the state, and the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Amba, congratulated the winners and also commended party faithful for their peaceful conduct during the two primary elections, which witnessed mass turnout of party delegates and stakeholders in the 17 local government areas, saw the eventual candidates clear the polls in most places following weeks of conscientious building preceding the exercise, while many aspirants who spoke at the venues declared support for the eventual winners, urging the supporters to vote for them. However, only two former council chairmen, namely Honorable Okechukwu Ede of Nkanu East local government and Honorable Obiora Obergu of Isu Uzo local government area, were returned as a party's candidates for the forthcoming council elections. While in the party's chairmanship primary election held at Amagunze, Akanu East local government area, Honorable Okechukwu swept the entire party delegates at Ikem Isuzo local government area to emerge victorious. In their acceptance speeches at Amagunze and Ikem respectively, Okechukwu Ede and Obiora Obergu thanked party members for the confidence reposed in them, assuring that they would double their efforts to complement Governor Mba's many rural development initiatives in the state when elected by the people in October. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Enugu State Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Chris Ngu, who had observed the exercise at Amagunze, Nkanu East, described it as incredible, free and just. As credible, free and just, saying that ESNIEC under his leadership was out to ensure a level playing ground for all the political parties. In view of the dispute over the ongoing international market project in Opi, Nsukka local government area of Enugu State, community members have called on the Enugu State government to halt all forms of lawlessness. The call came in view of the continuation of the market project despite dependency of the matter before an Enugu State High Court. Adding that in the suit, the plaintiffs are asking the courts for an order or building on the plaintiffs' respective portions of land forming part of the large expanse of land called Oli Oma, measuring about 99.9 hectares, situated at Aka Ibute, Uwelu, Obazara Community, Opi Town, Nsukka local government area of Enugu State, pending the hearing and determination of this substantive suit. Joined as defendants are the governor of Enugu State, the Attorney General, Enugu State, as well as registered trustees of Eastern Bridge International Markets Union and 6 others. While in a motion on notice brought pursuant to Order 39, Rule 1 of the High Court Civil Procedures Rules 2020, the plaintiffs prayed the court a few days after a farmer was also murdered in Uba, Akoko Southwest local government area. The deceased, who was from Odoro quarters of the community, was seen killed at the Ogudu farm settlement by a suspected headsman, while the assailants brutally macheted the farmer and left his lifeless body on the farm, with his remains discovered when he did not return home. One of the sources, however, said policemen from Isua Akoko visited the scene of the incident, recovered the body and deposited it at the mortuary in Ipe Okoko General Hospital. While confirming the incident, the police image maker in the scene arrested in connection with the incident, while the Owa of Obagi Akoko, Oba Victor Osalehinde, who also chaired the Akoko Divisional Council of Obas, decried the killing as callous, wicked and unacceptable. Ogun State Police Command has alerted members of the public of a notorious one-chance robbery gang operating along Sagamu, Ijebu Ode to Mowe Expressway. The command spokesperson, Omolola Odutola, raised the awareness on Thursday in a statement posted on her X handle that the command had received numerous complaints from residents, one of which involved a victim who was robbed of 700,000 naira at gunpoint after getting into a car from Kojola on Wednesday. While warning traders and business owners not to risk traveling with huge cash, the spokesperson advised commuters to record and send video to the police if they are unsure about a particular vehicle, adding that the Ogun State Police Command has become inundated with complaints of a notorious gang operating within Sagamu, Ijebode to Mowe. Police in Ekiti State have arraigned a 20-year-old Katiriera, Muhammad Dubello, before an Ado Ekiti Chief Magistrate's Court for allegedly destroying farm produce valued at 3.8 million naira belonging to 4 individuals. The police prosecutor, Inspector Elijah Adejari, who disclosed this, said the defendant committed the offense on August 10th at Ido Ile, Ekiti, and the act contravenes Section 363 of the Criminal Law of Ekiti State, 2021, and prayed the court for an adjournment to enable him to study the case file and present his witnesses. Counsel for the defendant, Adeyemi Ebubi, urged the court to grant the defendant bail with the promise that he would not jump bail, while the Chief Magistrate, Bakunle Olowasami, granted the defendant bail in the sum of 80,000 naira with 1 surety in like sum and adjourned the case till September 6th for hearing. This was as another Chief Magistrate Court in Ado Ekiti presided over Abayomi Adoshun granted bail to 2 men, Hamed Abdul Rashid and Abiodu Aluko, arraigned before the court for allegedly stealing a motorbike, while the police prosecutor, Sergeant Alice Ojo, told the court that the defendants, 22 years old Abdul Rashid and 42-year-old Aluko, allegedly committed the offense on August 6th in Ado Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital. The Chief Magistrate, Abayomi Adoshun, granted bail to the defendant in the sum of 250,000 naira with 1 surety each in like sum and adjourned the case till September 27th for hearing. Residents of Gadumo, Lokoja, Kogi State, who were not originally connected to the confluence feeder of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, have rejected their purported upgrade to Band A. They argue that the upgrade, as claimed by Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, is unjustified, adding that the confluence feeder reportedly supplies electricity for up to 20 hours a day, while areas not served by it have experienced prolonged power outages, while feelers from Abuja Electricity Distribution Company indicates that areas in Gadumo not connected to confluence feeders before have been connected for improved electricity supply, but at the expense of increased tariff. This is coming after residents had expressed frustration, citing the lack of any corresponding increase in electricity supply compared to their confluence feeder neighbors, as well as numerous complaints have been lodged at the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company office near Anebo Housing Estate, Gadumo. The residents affected have called for Abuja Electricity Distribution Company to either rectify the situation or return them to their previous status, rather than continuing with an upgrade that they believe offers no real benefits. Benue State Governor Reverend Father Hyacinth Alier has denied knowledge of the All Progressives Congress State Executive Committee meeting allegedly announced by the former state chairman of the party, Austin Agada. This comes after there were publications on the cyberspace to the effect that a meeting of the SEC of the Benue APC is summoned in Makurdi, while in a statement on Thursday by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Toso Kula, said Governor Aliya has therefore called off the purporting meeting, warning that there will be consequences if any person or group attempt to disrupt the peace of the state by converging for any unauthorized meeting. He said no APC meeting can be summoned without his knowledge. 3 people have been killed and 8 others injured in a clash between farmers and herders in Kodomun, a community in Demsa local government area of Adamawa State. Eyewitness said in the community long known for similar confrontations, the fresh incident is said to have been triggered by the alleged killing of a youth in Kodomun by suspected herders and have fled afterwards, escalating to the neighboring Kuduri, Sobanali, Kwayin, and Gorobakai villages. The police public relations officer in Adamawa State, SP Suleiman Nguroje, said a combined security team dispatched to the crisis area had restored normalcy, and a meeting of the crisis was quickly held at the palace of the Hamabata, Humom Almadu Gladstone Teneke, and the paramount traditional leader in Damsa. Addressing the meeting, the executive chairman of Demsa Local Government Council, Akam Jalu, appealed for calm and blamed both the farmers and the herders for allegedly concealing the truth over the causes of the lingering crisis, and also urged the farmers to always report the destruction of their crops to the authorities for compensation, and warned the herders to refrain from grazing around farm areas to avoid cattle straying into farm. Earlier in his remark, the Hamabata Homun Amadu Gladstone Teneke said the state government's directives that herders withdraw their cattle during cropping and rainy season until after harvest in February every year must be strictly complied with, and asked leaders of the warring groups to fish out the culprits in the latest clash and submit their names for prosecution. Bauchi State Emergency Management Agency has confirmed 4 persons dead in recent flood disaster in the state. The flood also destroyed houses, submerged farmlands, and washed away some sections of the Kano-Maiduguri Expressway. Director General of the agency, Masood Aliyu, who confirmed this in Bauchi, said the flood also destroyed houses, submerged farmlands, and washed away some sections of the Kano-Maiduguri Expressway, adding that the state government had mobilized contractors to repair the failed sections of the road and also provide an alternative routes for road users. He therefore urged the people to heed to the warnings by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency about impending flood disaster. Analysts have sympathized with the recent flood victims in Bauchi State and also faulted the state government for insensitivity to critical issues despite warnings of pending flood by the Meteorological Agency. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network program Blowout, a policy of flood in Bauchi State.
Reactive instead of being proactive. I know countless number of times that we've experienced flooding in some parts of this country. The Meteorological Agency of Nigeria, most times they've put this information out even months before these things happen. But this is not the
ATM recalled that the Bauchi State Emergency Management Agency has confirmed the death of 4 people as flood persisted in some communities of the state. The Director General of the agency, Masood Aliyu, made a confirmation to the press in the state. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mufwang has... This is coming after the state government had imposed a 24-hour curfew on the metropolis in the wake of the looting of public and private properties by some hoodlums in Jos North local government area of the state. A statement on the lifting of the curfew and signed by the Director of Press and Public Affairs to the Governor, Giang Bere, in Jos, the state capital, said the Plateau State government has fully lifted the curfew imposed on Jos Bukuru metropolis, following the peaceful conduct of residents and an improvement in the security situation. Governor Muswang expressed deep gratitude to the people of Plateau State for their steadfast patriotism and cooperation during this challenging period, and assured residents of his unwavering commitment to their well-being, and also commended the security personnel for their dedication and effective enforcement of the curfew. Muswang called for continued collaboration between residents and security agencies to ensure the safety of lives and property across the state. National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has described the allegations that protesters looted and absconded with sensitive documents relating to his corruption trial as baseless and comical. The former governor of Kano State, in a statement signed by his chief press secretary, Edwin Olofu, on Thursday, said credible intelligence reports revealed that the protest, which tragically turned bloody, was directly sponsored by Governor Abba Kabi Yusuf's administration, adding that they are contrary to the claim by the Kano government's suggestion that APC sponsored the recent violent protests in Kano. Rather, it was the Kano state government that funded the protests to tarnish the image of the President Bola Tinubu-led administration. The chairman stressed that it was alarming that the sitting governor would incite such chaos and violence within the state, putting the lives and properties of innocent citizens at risk, and condemned the reckless and unreasonable behavior, irresponsible behavior, which he said was an attempt to destabilize Kano as well as undermine the peace and security of the region, and more importantly, tarnish the good image of the president, while the federal government, through relevant security agencies, immediately launched a thorough investigation into the Kano State government's involvement in this unfortunate incident. Ganduje also said the sponsors of this violence must be brought to justice to ensure that this does not set a dangerous precedent for other states, noting that governance has been rejoking in Kano State that the state government will condescend low to suggesting that in this digital age, no discerning mind will buy into this pedestrian propaganda. Jigawa State Police Command has prosecuted not fewer than 390 protesters out of the 400 suspects arrested during the recent anti-hunger strike. The newsman in Duse on Thursday said the arrested protesters were from the 10 local government areas and violence was recorded during the protest, adding that the protesters were apprehended for vandalizing and looting government and public property. The state government fertilizer stores in Babura and Hadija local government areas of the state, adding that the police were able to recover some of the looted properties from the suspects. Borno State Governor Babangida Zulum says the Jori Inland Dry Port located in Maiduguri, Borno State, would be ready by December. Zulum, who disclosed this when he paid a courtesy visit to the Nigerian Shippers Council headquarters in Apapa, Lagos, said by establishing inland dry ports, the state would tackle the issue of unemployment among the youth and ensure the speedy process of establishing an inland dry port in Maiduguri. Earlier, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, said the importance of Borno State as a border town to three countries cannot be overemphasized, adding that having an inland dry port in the state would boost international trade between Nigeria and other countries under the African Continental Free Trade Area, in which Nigeria opened its borders to the whole of Africa as one market. He also said the transit park area developed in the state had one of the critical infrastructures to service the IDP, adding that the essence of the initiative, which would be a public-private partnership, was not for the government to drive the day-to-day running, but for the private sector. He declared that the two entities should come together and fast-track the process of harmonizing and agreeing among themselves, adding that the country currently has 7 inland dry ports, though only 2 have been completed. You're watching the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. We will be back after this break. Welcome back. This is the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. National Judicial Council NJC has recommended Honorable Justice Kadurat Motomori be the second female Chief Justice of Nigeria, with Mukhtar Aloma as the first female CJN. The statement by the NJC's Director of Information, Soje Oye, said besides the council also recommended 28 candidates for appointment as judges of state courts and a candidate for appointment as Qadi of the Sharia Court of the FCT Abuja to their various state governors. And the development comes at his 106th meeting presiding outgoing Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Olukoyede Ariwola. Concerned Medics Foundation, a group of Nigerian doctors, in a memorandum of understanding with the National Hospital for Women and Children, Abuja, in order to curtail brain drain in the country. The agreement was signed by the chief involvement of Nigerian doctors in the diaspora, who Executive Chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Jalal Arabi, and the Commission Secretary, Abdullahi Kantugora, are currently in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over the alleged mismanagement of the 90 billion naira 2024 Hajj subsidy. The EFCC said from the 90 billion naira Hajj subsidy, Arabi fraudulently overpaid himself and others the necessary operational costs, while the commissioners, secretary and directors and chief of staff in the 2024 budget are stipulated as 4,250 and was detained. A document revealed that some cash withdrawal out of the 90 billion naira released by the federal government to the commission is yet to be accounted for by the National Hajj Commissioner of Nigeria. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has denied its X account, formerly Twitter, had been hacked. This is coming following speculations that suspected internet fraudsters who threatened to wage cyber warfare against the EFCC had hacked the anti-graft agency's X account. According to reports, some internet fraudsters had accused the Anti-Graft Commission of disregarding constitutional norms in cracking down on dubious activities among Nigerians online, while the agency's website and other social media pages such as Facebook and Instagram were functional. EFCC is accessible to the populace. Presidency says it is aware of the failed attempts by a Chinese company, Zhoushan Fengcheng Industrial Investment Co. Limited, to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through Superfuge. Suit to strip the country's offshore assets is between the company and the Ogun State government. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the statement comes after a Chinese company, Zhoushan, had successfully petitioned for the seizure of 3 Nigerian presidential jets after a French court authorized the seizure of the 3 presidential jets due to the ongoing dispute between Zhoushan, a Chinese company, and the Ogun State government. However, responding to the development, Onanuga in the statement said the federal government is fully aware of efforts being made by the Ogun State government to reach an amicable resolution on the matter, accusing Zhoushan of attempting to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through Superfuge. A statement on Thursday, Obi, a former Anambra State governor, said the fact that the federal government went ahead with the jets deal despite outcry and horrifying economic hardship shows the insensitivity of the President Bola Tinubu administration, stressing that the trending international news of the seizure of 3 jets belonging to Nigeria's presidential fleet is yet another of many embarrassing things exposing our failed leadership and expose multiple dimensions to Nigeria's leadership failure and insensitivity to the plight of the growing poor masses in Nigeria. Obi has claimed that the fact that the federal government went ahead with the jet deal despite the cacophonous cry against the purchase of a presidential jet at this time when the people are going through a horrifying economic hardship shows the insensitivity of this administration. It is the embarrassing aspect of our country's presidential jet being held for contractual breaches arising from yet another dimension of inadequate leadership tidiness. Nigerian Labour Congress has accused the federal government of declaring war against labor and interfering in internal affairs of trade union matters following the recent raid on its headquarters by security. At a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, NLC leaders rejected the police explanation for the invasion and demanded an apology, as well as the return of seized items and the release of detained individuals, and also criticized government attempts to interfere with the organization's internal affairs, including a proposed reduction in the tenure of trade union leaders. After the police had claimed that the raid on the headquarters of the NLC was aimed at apprehending an international terrorist suspect, but the NLC dismissed this as a cover-up, pointing out contradictions in the police accounts, while the NLC reiterated its demands for a stakeholders conference to address pressing national issues, including hunger, poverty, and insecurity. The organization warned that it would hold the police responsible for any future incidents as its headquarters against its leaders and members, stressed that the Registrar of Trade Unions Act 34 of the Trade Unions Act, adding that government is a broadcaster and an academician, has emerged as the first elected president of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters. This is effected after a peaceful and contested election at the National Conference Society of Nigeria Broadcasters held in Abuja. Professor Pate won with a total of 231 votes against his opponent, Matthew Okodwa, who has a total of 12 votes. In his address, Pate said he was committed to addressing the financial constraints associated with the broadcast industry.
That will help the system influence the training for the next generation of broadcasters, as well as give our audiences the desired content that contribute collectively for all of us to be proud of us. You should accept it and do what it
Member and mentor of the society, Ambassador Yemi Farobing, and the chairman, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, Abdul Rahman Dambos, shared their desire and expectation for future broadcasters in Nigeria.
So, with a body of knowledge, with a professional body, that devotes efforts on human capital.
We know we're much more than what we're having today. So that is going to continue, and we will try to also, along with the new executives, see how we
rated high. We're going to have prestige. Before now, we were only operating under associations and not, we have the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, which is membership of the broadcasting stations. But for the first time, we have SMB. SMB's membership is all the professionals. Every broadcaster must be a member of the SMB. Going forward, if you're not an SMB member, if you're not certified by SMB, you won't be allowed to practice broadcasting in this country.
Former chairman of Bond, Sir Ibrahim, and Christabel Ojali Yanga, deputy president of the society, expressed belief in the new emerged leadership of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, stressing that the new president has come with wealth of experiences.
It is our hope that they will be able to take this society where we want it to be. The industry, the broadcasting industry, is going through a phase, and we need this to inject fresh air into the industry. And so
Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has discovered and confiscated an additional 63 illegal refineries in the past week. NNPCL disclosed this in a recent documentary on the fight against oil theft, adding that 63 illegal refineries were discovered and confiscated in Bayelsa, Rivers, Abia, Imo, and Delta states. The state-owned firm also said from August 3rd to 9th, 2024 alone, about 277 incidents of oil theft was discovered in Bayelsa state. According to the firm, 17 vehicular arrests were made in communities that took place in the deep blue water. 21 in the western region, 29 in the central region, and 76 in the eastern region. This is coming after in June, the company uncovered 165 illegal refineries in Niger Delta region, while in July, the country recovered 1.3 million barrels per day of crude oil production, in short of the 1.5 million barrels per day Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, quota, and the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL, Melekiare, recently called on the military to sustain the war against crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has officially inaugurated a technical subcommittee tasked with developing the framework for the sale of crude oil to local refineries in Naira. He said the initiative aligns with the recent presidential directive aimed at enhancing Nigeria's refining capacity and promoting economic growth, adding that the crude oil supply to domestic refineries has been an issue for months, particularly since a multi-billion-dollar Dangote petroleum refinery came on board, adding that the domestic crude oil refiners, including the $21 billion Dangote refinery, have repeatedly complained about the poor supply of crude to their plants. They have also called for the sale of crude oil in Naira due to the difficulty in accessing a post on the Finance Ministry's official X handle. The ministry stated on Wednesday that the technical subcommittee had been inaugurated to help tackle these concerns, adding that the inauguration took place following the stakeholders meetings where government officials and representatives of local refineries, including the Dangote refinery, gathered to discuss the implementation details of the strategic directive. The committee members include the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Lydia Jafia, Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Services, Dr. Zach Adedeji, as well as representatives from the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Central Bank of Nigeria, Afrexim Bank, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. While the Finance Minister highlighted the critical role of the committee in crafting a robust template that would ensure the successful implementation of the initiative. Edun commended the members of the committee for their dedication and anticipated contributions, urging them to work diligently to meet the expectations set by the presidential directive, adding that the ultimate goal is to transform Nigeria's energy sector into one that is self-reliant and globally competitive, while the Finance Minister convened the stakeholders meeting to ensure a hitch-free implementation of Bola Tinubu's directive for the sale of crude to local refineries in Naira. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has assured of an impending forensic audit of the mining sector as part of efforts to sanitize the industry and boost investor confidence. A statement by the Special Assistant on the Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Shagu Tomori, said the minister gave the hint during a meeting with Plateau State Governor Caleb Mufwang, disclosed this at the military headquarters in Abuja, adding that the ongoing reforms would lead to the implementation of technology-driven mechanisms aimed at enhancing the regulatory framework of the federal government. Highlighting the importance of Plateau State in the federal government's plan to develop the mining sector, Alake sought collaboration with Governor Mufwang to harness the vast solid mineral potential and address the prevalence of abandoned mining pits, which he noted represents relics of the colonial era, stressing that government is working towards creating an environmental protection and rehabilitation fund to establish a pool of resources that can be used for remediation efforts, which includes covering or converting abandoned pits which pose a danger to our citizens and communities into productive uses like irrigation. In his remark, Governor Mufwang commended the zeal and enthusiasm the minister has brought to the sector since assuming office and expressed optimism under Alake's leadership that Nigeria will unlock the vast potential of solid minerals to contribute significantly to the nation's gross domestic product. While on the security of mining sites, the governor hailed the mining marshals for their achievements so far, urging the minister to ensure their proper integration into the state security network to stay abreast of the activities. Mufwang also advocated for an improved regulatory framework, up-to-date data in the mining sector, and federal support to address the issue of abandoned mining pits in the state. Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Felix Obey, says the board is targeting 70% Nigerian content in the oil and gas sector by 2027. Obey, who disclosed this when he visited the facilities of BIMCO Nigeria Limited in Lagos, commended the oil and gas service firm for its strides in equipment component manufacturing and also lauded the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, StarTimes Dewood Joint Venture, and BIMCO Limited for enhanced in-country value addition. Speaking at the load-out ceremony at BIMCO's facility in Apapa, Lagos, the NCDMB board said the feat of sourcing such vital components in-country was made possible by the Equipment Component Manufacturing Initiative launched by the NCDMB in 2013 and necessitates the issuance of the Nigerian Content Equipment Certificate as a requirement for participation in equipment supply in the oil and gas industry. He also said the implementation ensured that NLNG, through its main contractor, StarTimes Dewood, awarded a contract to BIMCO for the supply of 17 American Petroleum Institute pumps and 17 control valves in line with NCDMB's approved vendor list for the NLNG Train 7 projects, adding that Nigeria is proud that BIMCO will be delivering quality pumps and valves on schedule. He remarked also the achievement of the company affirmed the position of the recent presidential directives on local content implementation, which mandates that oil and gas contractors should only be awarded to local companies with established and proven capacity in country. He promised that the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board would continue to support BIMCO to further expand its capabilities to include backward integration in pump and valve components manufacturing in Nigeria, and also assured purpose-driven companies in the oil and gas sector that together we will achieve more of similar milestones in the industry as part of a collective commitment to achieve 70% Nigerian content by 2027. Pan-Yoruba into an economic crisis that is worse than the general Great Depression of 1929. The group stressed that Nigeria's economy, real wages and overall economic performances since 2014 and faulted Tinubu's reaction to a recent visit by the patriots led by Chief Emeka Ayaku, who called for a new constitution. According to the statement by its leader, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, and the National Publicity Secretary, Prince Justice Faloye, Afenifere argued that the president's economic reforms have led to economic hardship and a decline in living standards, while the group expressed its support for restructuring, stressing that it forms a foundation for economic recovery and addresses the diverse challenges facing Nigeria, and urged the president to reconsider his approach. The statement also called for a comprehensive strategy that addresses both economic and political reforms simultaneously is needed, not just isolated economic measures. Economic issues are deeply rooted in its political structure, which prioritizes control and economic dependence on a central authority over prosperity. Senators proposed a fine of 50 million naira to the principal officers of insurance companies operating without valid licenses, or that they may be sentenced to a 2-year prison term or both. It proposed this in a bill sponsored by Senator Tokunbo Abiru, representing APC in Lagos State East, and 40 others, titled Nigeria Insurance Industry Reform Bill 2024, which seeks an act to repeal the Insurance Act Cap 117/2004, the Marine Insurance Act, Cap M3 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Nigeria Reinsurance Corporation Act, Cap 131 laws of the Federation of Nigeria, said the bill, which passed its second reading in July, also proposed that any individual found engaged while non-life insurance business must maintain a minimum capital of 25 billion naira or a risk-based capital as the Commission determines, and the Senate will also set the minimum capital of life insurance business at 15 billion naira, while reinsurance businesses are required to maintain a capital of 45 billion naira. The requirements, according to the sponsor, are designed to ensure that insurers possess the financial resilience necessary to meet the obligations, while the bill also mandates that any insurer intending to commence operation in Nigeria must deposit 50% of the required minimum capital with the Central Bank of Nigeria, adding that upon registration, 80% of this deposit will be returned with interest within 60 days, and existing companies are required to deposit 10% of the minimum capital with the Central Bank with interest applied annually at the minimum lending rate. To further protect consumers, the bill specifies that insurance policy documents must be delivered to the insured within 5 working days after the payment of premiums or within 30 working days of special and industrial risk insurance, adding that failure to comply with this provision will result in a fine of up to 5% of the premium risk. Products will require prior approval from the Commission, which must respond within 30 days of receiving. In Calabar, the Cross River State capital, when the committee visited the Calabar Power Generation Company Limited, a subsidiary of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, as part of their constitutional responsibilities and functions, while the chairman of the House Committee, Victor Wokolo, who represents Ika South and Ika North Federal Constituency in Delta State in the National Assembly, said President Bola Tinubu views the power issues in the country. We will have addressed almost half of the country's problems, he said. Managing Director of the Calabar Power Generation Company, Chinedu Ubo, also said out of the 10 power plants, the Calabar facility is the only one with a steady gas supply, which has enabled consistent power generation over the last 50 years. There has been only 5 power turbines with an overall site capacity of 625 MW, while 2 are currently undergoing turnaround maintenance. On July 8, the federal government announced a 150-day duty-free import window for food commodities, a move which was targeted at ensuring a reduction in the inflation rate in the country. The government also collaborated with states to expand land cultivation across the country. This is coming after the government suspended duties, tariffs, and taxes. Speaking at a press conference held in Abuja, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kari, said 150 days of duty-free imports would be valid for commodities including maize, hawks brown rice, wheat and cowpeas. He said the initiative, which is part of the Presidential Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, would also enable the federal government to import 250,000 metric tons of waiver on imported foods soon, adding that the long-term interests of Nigerian farmers and other stakeholders who are involved in the production of the affected food items must be considered. While in Abuja, during a combined news conference by the heads of security agencies and service chiefs convened by the Chief of Defense Staff General, is still being worked out at the Ministry of Finance, saying to exercise patience, adding their efforts were ongoing to address the demands of the August protesters, especially concerning food inflation and the cost of living, adding that the decision by the federal government has been themed by many industry players as a move in the right direction, because it was coming when the country's inflation rate was 34.19. Reports for June 2024 stated the Nigeria's inflation rate increased to 34.19%, an increase of 0.24 percentage points from the previous headline. The MPC also stated that the current measures that are making it difficult for monetary policy to do its job, noting that the monetary policy needs much more help from fiscal and structural policies, estimated to save over $7 billion in foreign exchange. The statement also called for an intense drive to clamp down on oil theft and vandalism, bring marginal oil fields into production and reactivate dormant wells, could raise oil production to 1.7 million barrels per day, assumed in the 2024 federal budget, as well as tax revenues constituting less than 8% of GDP. It is worth repeating that Nigeria urgently needs to fix the structural weaknesses of our tax system, while the measures combined with a commitment to reduce the overall cost of governance will dampen fiscal pressures and bolster the effectiveness of monetary policy. The unions disclosed this in a letter dated August 14, 2024, titled Save Aviation from Collapse, adding that the affected agencies include the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, Nigerian Meteorological Agency, Nigerian College of Aviation Technology. These agencies are already being compromised due to the financial strain imposed by the deductions, and cautioned that they would not be held responsible if the aviation industry becomes dysfunctional due to these financial constraints. And in preparation for the protest, the unions have directed all state councils. You're still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. This is still the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. And now sports news. Napoli striker Victor Osimhen's preferred club in this summer's transfer window plans to join Paris Saint-Germain ahead of other clubs. He disclosed this in a tweet via his X account, although he has been linked with PSG, Arsenal and Chelsea this summer. Taken to X, Plettenberg provided insight into Osimhen's future as Napoli amid interest from several top clubs, but Osimhen is not currently pushing for a move to the Premier League. Former France defender William Gallas has predicted that Tottenham and Manchester United will battle for the final spot in the Premier League top 4 this season. Gallas believes Manchester City and Arsenal are nailed for a Champions League place, adding that Liverpool will also finish in the top 4 under new manager. Manchester United will battle for the final spot in the Premier League top 4 this new manager. Napoli made double deal for the Manchester United midfielder Scott McTominay and former Chelsea midfielder Billy Gilmour.